and welcome back to Sportshire. I'm your host, Griff McClellan, and today I'm joined by Jeremy Crum and Nick DeMauro. In today's episode, we will discuss the current MLB season and the biggest storylines. First, we're going to discuss the New York Yankees. How do you want to start? Let's talk about Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton.
Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton, teammates, the only two teammates since 1966, I believe,
Yes.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
Where each has hit 50 home runs in the prior season. These two are leading an offensive core that is going to put up, and has been putting up, a lot of runs.
Yes.
These two sluggers are the next coming of Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris.
Yes, they're like a modern-day version of those two.
Exactly.
The Bronx Bombers are back.
And as long as, I'm sure Aaron Boone is thinking right now about keeping both of them out of the home run derby this year.
I would definitely say so. Aaron Judge has already confirmed he will not be participating, and I do not believe Stanton would follow suit. I would much rather see those two crushing home runs at Yankee Stadium than in Nationals Park this summer.
I'd rather see them hitting home runs in the World Series in October than the Midsummer Classic or the All-Star Game or the Derby.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I still say the teams that win it all are the ones that have the best catchers and shortstops. If you can get strong production out of both of those, you're golden for the playoffs. So who is leading the team for the Yankees right now?
Didi Gregorius, their shortstop.
Didi Gregorius. And who is second?
Gary Sanchez.
Gary
their
Sanchez.
catcher.
Exactly.
So we definitely have a contender with the Yankees. The issue becomes when the Yankees and the Red Sox are the two top teams in the country for the AL right now. So are we going to predict now what's going to happen by the end of the season?
It's all about the hot streaks. The Red Sox and Yankees have had great starts. Who knows if they'll be able to keep them going throughout? What do you think?
I say this is going to be one long summer, and it's going to be full of the best rivalry in all of American sports. I believe these teams are going to duke it out until the end, and they will, as the final series in the regular season for both teams will be at Fenway Park. I believe it is going to be a slugfest till the very end, and I see both of them most likely, making the postseason.
I think so too. They're both going to the postseason, definitely. And this rivalry has been going on for over 100 years, the most classic rivalry in baseball, or if not in all of sports. And they will face tomorrow night. And for the first time ever between these two teams, they both have a winning percentage over .700 at this point in the season. It's hard to believe, isn't it?
It's hard to believe, but there is one issue that the Yankees need to address, and that is their starting pitching. All right, Sonny Graham, talking to you right now. He has made progress. The last couple starts, he's certainly done better. And I'm going to chalk that up to getting the warmer weather, helping him get a better feel for the ball. But this has been a struggle this spring for him specifically. But you know, they certainly are on track for the right things to happen throughout this season.
They have enough offense to help their starting pitching, you think?
Pitching is easy in the Bronx because they have so much offensive firepower.
All right, let's switch gears now and talk about one of their biggest rivals other than the Red Sox, the Houston Astros, the defending World Series champs. What do you think? Are they a major threat to the Yankees?
If they could fix their bullpen, yes.
Ken Giles had some struggles lately
Yeah.
against the Yankees.
Yeah, but their core, as far as the batting and the pitching, are just phenomenal. They're lights out right now. If every team could get a deal like they got with Verlander last year to improve their pitching and what he's done this year so far, I mean, that is just crazy good. As far as the batting, you know, they're way above average considering their record. Right now, they're in the middle of the pack. But they're a way better team, and you can count on them to catch on fire as the season progresses.
Yes, and Verlander took over and was dominant in last year's postseason. However, he was only on the team for about a month or two. Just imagine what they can accomplish with him for a full season.
Exactly.
I think they are a threat to the Yankees, but The Yankees came close to beating them last year. They may face again in this year's postseason for all we know.
I just have to ask, who let them get Gerrit Cole?
I truly believe when it comes to the Yankees, I was reading a lot into the trade rumors over the offseason, and one of the biggest things that the Yankees were so adamant about was keeping their prospects, keeping Gleyber Torres, keeping Miguel Andujar, keeping Chance Adams. Guys like that were really important to the Yankees, and they were willing to give up one or two, but they weren't willing to give up more than that. And the Pirates weren't feeling it, and so they decided to pivot to the Astros. And I think that might be the trade that could come back to bite the Yankees. Gerrit Cole has been dominant this season so far. He's turning back to his 2015 form. And if Verlander, Cole, and maybe Charlie Morton stay the way they are, it could be one heck of a series in the Bronx and potentially in the postseason.
Yes, definitely. You never know, they might face again. Well, speaking of dominant starting pitchers, let's now talk about the biggest rookie phenom of the season, Shohei Ohtani of the Los Angeles Angels. What do you want to say about him?
He has had a fantastic start this season. He's already batting .329, 1,018 OPS. So his on base and when he's getting hits, they're counting a lot. He's doing a fantastic job as far as batting. As far as his pitching is concerned, he's been good. Not stellar, but good. But for being an American League pitcher,
Yes.
that is an interesting mix. Because he chose to go to the Angels and stay in the American League with the designated hitter, is he going to maintain both the offense and the pitching throughout the year? That's a long season. It's a lot of wear and tear on his body.
I have never seen an athlete like this, pitches and hits in the American League. It's insane.
The closest
It's
I
crazy.
can think of is Madison Bumgardner for the
In
Giants.
the National League.
Yes.
That's different because they have different rules. He hits, he pitches more often than Shohei would.
Yes.
But yet Shohei had, so far he's had 32 strikeouts in his first 5 appearances. If he continues that throughout the season, he's going to be pretty dominant.
And I think what the Angels will try to do is they already have him on a schedule where he pitches only once a week, which is exactly how they do it in Japan. And I think that if they continue with that schedule, if he keeps himself uninjured, which he has been getting hit with small injuries the past couple of seasons, both in Japan and here in America, if he keeps those injuries in check, if he keeps working, he could maybe keep up this entire pace. We will have to really see if he can keep this pace, and also if the rest of the Angels can meet or exceed those standards in order to see the Angels in the postseason.
Yeah, they certainly have a great offensive lineup, led by Mike Trout, multiple-time American League MVP winner. He hits home runs a lot. Maybe he could provide a spark in their offense.
Oh, he definitely provides a
Yeah.
spark. The one thing that I worry about with Ohtani is that when a new person comes into the league, it takes them a little while. They sort of get a free pass for a while where people are getting an understanding of their tendencies. And so there are a lot of very good players at the beginning of the year that are new to the league. The question becomes, when other teams start adapting to his tendencies, how does he react?
Yeah, that is
find
something
out.
really important. And the Angels have to hope and they have to pray that his sophomore slump doesn't start early. Because if that sophomore slump starts happening in the second half of this season, the Angels are in for a bumpy ride with Ohtani.
Yeah, he's had a great start, but we'll see if he can keep it up. Right now, though, it looks like he's going to be one of the biggest faces in the MLB for a while. All right, let's switch gears now to the National League. Let's talk about some of the biggest underdog teams to look forward to this year. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Phillies for a second. Just like the NBA team in Philadelphia, the 76ers, they've trusted the process. It's proven to work for the Sixers, but the Phillies, they've recently acquired Jake Arrieta, a former Cy Young winner. What are your thoughts on them? Are they going to contend this year?
I think they are a dark horse to be contending this season, But if they're not contending this season, they definitely have the pieces to contend next season. As you mentioned, Jake Arrieta,
Yes.
they have rookies and young guys, Rhys Hoskins. They have behind the plate Jorge Alfaro. They have a lot of young guys who could really be helping. And if they don't contend in 2018, 2019 and 2020 are right there for the taking. They have a massive amount of money that is not on the books anywhere, and that could be used in the upcoming free agent classes, maybe sign a Bryce Harper or a Mike Trout. Signing one of those guys could really push them over the edge. But yes, as to the 2018 season, I think they can be a surprise contender. It looks like the National League East is a bit more open than we originally thought.
Yes.
So we will see with how they will do against those other teams.
I do think they need to worry about Atlanta, who is also going through a rebuilding phase.
Atlanta.
But Atlanta right now, they have sort of hurried their curve. They've sped the curve up compared to what Philadelphia is doing. They're
Yes.
both in very similar places, and I fully admit that the Phillies got the best pitcher in the offseason. But it is something that the Atlanta team may beat them to the finish line, at least for this year.
They could. They're in the same division. It'll be a close race.
Yeah.
Another team to look out for in the National League Central this time is the Milwaukee Brewers, who have landed outfield stars Christian Yelich from Miami and Lorenzo Cain from Kansas City. Are they a team to watch out for, you think?
I think they're still waiting for a few more pieces before they're a
A few more
full-time
pieces.
contender.
What do they need?
Specifically, right now, they're not playing as well as a team. They have individual contributors, but they need some of their farm system to move up and fill in the gaps, shall we say. You know, it's easy to go out and get a couple stars in the offseason. It takes time. It's hard to build a farm system that you have your homegrown talent making the majority of the base of your team. But that's what the Yankees do so well, is that they have this farm system that keeps feeding new and fantastic players, and then they go out and they get a few complementary pieces on the open market to make a full team. So right now, the best person I've seen on the Milwaukee is their closer, Josh Hader. He has been doing a fantastic job. However, the starters there, they need some help.
Yeah, it's always the starting pitchers that need help in these teams that have loaded offensive lineups. Doesn't it seem like that these days?
Yeah, too often.
Yeah, well, speaking of rebuilding and the farm systems, I believe this is the way to go today in baseball. Instead of buying big-name free agents, yes, it can help you, but it doesn't work all the time. Building with a farm system has proven to work for each of the past 3 World Series winners. Think about Houston last year. They were terrible 5 years ago. The same with the Chicago Cubs in 2016. Again, they were terrible before that. And Kansas City, also horrible, but they've had great farm systems, and they've all their hard work has paid off from it. Definitely, we'll see. The Yankees have definitely had a great farm system, and
I know that one of the things with Houston that their fans really disagreed with was when they switched from the NL to the AL. But that took one step from the league to bring the ownership around to make a commitment to building their farm system, building their team. And now you're seeing the results of those. Last year, this year, this is a fantastic team. And it all stems back to the commitment from the ownership to make their fans happy again after their transition. Do you remember in the NL, they were the worst team in baseball?
they were losing 110, 111 games a year.
You want to talk about a turnaround. That's fantastic.
Yes, it is.
You know, and I think that the fans are realizing some enjoyment out of their transition to the AL.
Yes, and they have a loaded lineup as well with superstars. But back then, Carlos Correa, Jose Altuve, George Springer, they weren't superstars. They were just young athletes in the farm system, and now look at them.
Exactly.
They have an offensive lineup that's loaded
Loaded.
with weapons
Yeah.
all around the field. Another National League team to watch out for definitely is the Washington Nationals. This could be it for the Bryce Harper era. What do you think about that?
I think if they really want to make a difference, they are going to have to go out all out. I mean, Bryce Harper leads leagues in walks by a wide margin. So do the Washington Nationals as a whole due to Bryce Harper. I really think they should really amp up their game. I mean, right now they have Steven Strasburg, and of course their ace Max Scherzer has been dealing. He's a strikeout machine, but I feel like there could be a bit more patchwork needed, maybe another offensive bat, maybe another arm either in the back of the rotation or in that bullpen, just to push them further over the hump. Since they've become a team, once they were the Expos and now they're the Nationals, they have been horrible in the postseason. They have been great in the regular season, but once they reach that postseason and you reach that Game 5 of the division series, they have fallen flat. And I feel like they need to get somebody, maybe Madison Bumgardner, if the Giants fall out of favor.
Maybe.
A proven postseason arm like that could really help the Nationals. And I definitely think they should be going all out for those pieces because it's going to be difficult once this winter hits for the Nationals to retain Bryce Harper.
Yes, he's asking for a lot of money. It'll be hard to retain him if they come up short again in the postseason.
Oh, yes.
Definitely. But it reminds me a lot of the NHL team in Washington, D.C. The Capitals, who have a similar problem. They always have the best regular season record. They win the President's Trophy, but they just can't seem to get the job done in the postseason.
Very true.
But often the teams that don't dominate the season but end up dominating the postseason, those teams are the teams to watch, really.
Yeah, I always worry about those that sneak into the playoffs because they have a chip on their shoulder, and next thing you know, they're the New York Giants, winning the Super Bowl because they believed in themselves when nobody else did.
Exactly. They have nothing to lose. Yeah. They're not a 1 seed or anything like that. They have nothing to lose.
And that's why I believe one of the two best World Series that has happened throughout this past decade was in 2014 between the Kansas City Royals and the San Francisco Giants.
I remember that series.
Both teams were wildcard teams heading into that. The Giants rolled the impressive postseason run of Madison Bumgardner to that championship. It was the first 7-game series in a little while, and both teams snuck in, but both teams blew the rest of the field out of the water. And I think that watching those dark horse teams could really benefit you down the line.
I remember exactly how that World Series ended with Alex Gordon's triple. My dad and I still talk about that. We watched that game. What do you think? Should they have waved him home? Or, I mean, it's a huge risk. If he's out, they lose the World Series, and then we all be saying, oh, they should have kept him on third base. What are they doing? The next guy would have gotten a hit. Madison Bumgarner's getting tired.
You have to live in the moment.
You have to live in the moment, exactly.
Every coach that's on a team, they know that they have few opportunities. They need to make the most of each of those opportunities. And they're going to coach their players up. And in a situation like that, it takes a lot to get to the World Series. You're going to really strive to make it the right decision each time. But it is something that no matter what happened there, somebody's going to be regretting it.
Well, yes, and on that play, it was one of the most rare plays I've ever seen in my life. It was a base hit, but then there were 2 errors in the outfield, allowing Alex Gordon to advance to third base. They should have waved him home. They were living in the moment. That was their one chance on Madison Bumgarner, who hadn't allowed any hits in his appearance, or if any, 1 or 2. But he was dominant. They should have gone for it. Who knows if he would have been safe or if he was out, but that was their chance.
I feel like 1/3 of the innings out of the San Francisco Giants in those magic years came from Bumgardner.
Totally. What do you think? Should they have waved him home?
Personally, I can go either way. I think maybe if they sent him home, it would have been great. But either way, I felt like Madison Bumgardner was too much a machine. I think regardless, the Giants would have had yet another unexpected postseason hero that would have given them that title. So regardless, I think the Giants should have and would have still won. But I think the Royals, I agree with you. I think they should have gone for it. You know, it's that living in the moment. It's that Game 7 mentality. I think they should have risked it and see if it had paid off.
Yeah, and Brandon Crawford, or who was it in the outfield again that had to field that? Whoever it was, would have had to make an incredible throw. With Game 7 on the line, on the road. It would have been a hard throw, and who knows, if he had gotten him out, it would have been one of the greatest plays of all time. Would have gone down in history, but we'll never know.
You'll never know.
So as a player, one of the things you need to keep in mind is when you're on offense, you're trying to force the defense to make the best play they can, because there are a lot of mistakes that happen. When you give up on the base path and you don't take the next base, you're giving the defense a win.
Exactly.
That was a great example of it right there.
Right, and speaking of the World Series, it's time for our World Series predictions. Jeremy, let's start with you. Who do you have going to the Fall Classic in 2018?
I have to go with, first things first, I always focus on the season as a whole is an endurance race. You know, injuries are going to happen, people are going to be called up, people are going to be designated for assignment. Who has the deepest roster? So I have to go with the team that I believe has the deepest roster, and that would be the Red Sox.
The Red Sox.
The Red Sox. I believe that the Red Sox will be over the Cardinals in 6 games.
Cardinals, that's a familiar matchup in the World Series. We've seen those
Yes,
two
it is.
face a lot. It's when the curse ended in 2004. They beat
That
them.
was a good year.
For you, it was. Nick, how about you?
For me, the National League, I do have the St. Louis Cardinals as well making the World Series. I think they're one of those dark horse teams that can really make a difference. With Miles Mikolas coming back to the MLB from a season in Japan, I believe that they have a nice deep roster. As for the American League, I, being a diehard Yankees fan, I do believe that the Yankees have the deeper roster. I feel that it could be a great battle between the Red Sox and the Yankees, but ultimately it will be, for me, the Yankees making it past the Red Sox, the Astros, getting to that World Series, getting number 28. I say Yankees over Cardinals in 5.
In 5, wow. The Yankees haven't been to a World Series since 2009. This could be the year they finally get back, like they're used to. All right, time for my prediction. I'm going to say the New York Yankees. I agree with you, Nick. I think they will outplay the Astros and the Red Sox. Sorry, Jeremy. But overall, I think the addition of Giancarlo Stanton, along with Aaron Judge, will be too much for the Red Sox. That'll be one great series if they play each other. Can't wait to see how that goes down. And for the National League, I'm picking the Washington Nationals. This is a do-or-die season for them with Bryce Harper, who could potentially leave as a free agent next season. I think, however, this is the year they finally get past Chicago, Los Angeles. I'm going with the Nationals in 7.
All right, so if I can just say one thing about the Nationals, they've already won the season because they have the best infield turn. You guys seen it?
Oh, I've seen it.
Go Skittles.
Oh, my.
All
right, well, what do you guys say? Are you excited for the end of the season and seeing how it all goes down?
Every day, absolutely.
Every day?
Every day. It's going to be one amazing race. There are teams that we haven't even talked about that are so exciting, like the Oakland Athletics or the Arizona Diamondbacks. There are teams out there that maybe aren't at the top right now, but have very interesting stories. I think this is going to be one of the best seasons in a long time.
Those teams you just mentioned have great potential ahead of them. Totally. All right, well, that concludes for today. Thank you for watching Sportshire. I hope you all enjoy the MLB season, and I can't wait to see how the World Series goes down.